Now, in our last meeting, I have introduced to you the practical number 2, where we are to learn about the measurement of pre or post-stress concrete members. Okay. Then we take into consideration a 4-story hotel building that was constructed before 2011 in the Philippines. Okay, where it was really constructed on a reinforced concrete, but we are to revise it by using post-stress concrete, precast concrete for our practical number 2, because it is the focus of our topic. Therefore, in this case, the title of our practical number 2 will be this. That this is the building that we are to learn. Okay. The outcomes and objectives. Then we are to conduct a measurement of post-tension beams. It is precast, which was given on the detailed plans that I have distributed to you previously. The second objective is to understand the content stated in the take-off list. Then the take-off list is also detailed with the codification based on the new rules of measurement by the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Then, after understanding the take-off list, we are to present the result of the measurement in the traditional dimension paper, where we are to identify the number of pieces on the timesing column, write the dimensions on the dimension column by following the rule of the basic form of measurement, where we are to identify if it is linear, if it is superficial, if it is cubic, item, or number. Then we are also to place the computation on the squaring items, where the product of all the time set and the dimension column will be reflected on the squaring column. Then, in utilizing the Rick's new rules of measurement as based on the computation, then we will base it on the detail, where the front elevation of the building is shown, where we are concerned of this later when we are to measure the vertical structural components. Then, the slab panel that we are to take into consideration will be having a dimension of 6 meters on the shorter span and 12 meters on the larger span. Therefore, it is presented in the notes that the shorter span on the external part of the slab panel is labeled as B2, while in the interior part it is G1. Therefore, its length is 6 meters, while the longer span has an identical B1 interior beams. Okay, we have already computed this in our last meeting by computing the volume of concrete. Okay, this is in this portion that we are to take into consideration such slab panel. Then the sections of the exterior and the interior beam is also shown here, where the detail, it is missing in this presentation, you can read that on the specifications of the takeoff list described in there. Okay? Then also, the bar bending schedule where the links is to be installed and the position where it will be located is also shown by this description. The diameter of the bars, its corresponding weight, and its corresponding shape. The dimensions, you can refer that to the detail, okay? Because this only shows the shape of the links, and the dimension will be dependent on the detail. The post-tensioning reinforcement, where we are to use on the exterior beam the 3-ply strands, and on the interior beams the 7-ply strands for pre-tensioning tendons. The range jacks, where the detail of the cross-section is given with the corresponding variables, where these variables can be referred to table 2.3, jack tendon length allowance, as an additional length for the tendons to be considered in the measurement of pre-stressing steel. Then we are using the jack type K100 as stated in your takeoff list. It is described there. Okay. Then for 4K, this is for exterior beams, and 7K for the interior beam. Is there any question? Understand now where it will be taken? Takeoff list. We have the temporary services, we need electrical, and the charges for the electrical consumption, how much power that we will be using, the installation of structural component. Then the most important part is the safety and environmental protection, where it needs barriers and safety scaffoldings, protection, scaffolds inspection for the safety of your staff. Therefore, these are all stated as item on your presentation of the form of measurement. Okay, then control and protection. Next, mechanical plant. We also need tower cranes, the hire charges, the crane operator, the overtime for crane and the operator. Temporary works, we need access scaffoldings, the hire charges, and the alteration and adapting during construction, meaning that if there are revisions, then you are to charge it as a quantity surveyor. Okay? You take into consideration, because sometimes there are changes that will happen on the construction site. Now, the proper measurement implementation starts from section 3.6, where for precast concrete beam, we are to deal with the strength of concrete to be 24.5 Newton per mm square using a maximum size of 20 mm aggregate, where the links spacing not to exceed 150 mm. Then we are to compute for the volume of post-stressed concrete in an L-shaped exterior beam, the volume of post-stressed concrete in the inverted T-shaped interior beam. Then, after that, the precast beam deform reinforcement for both of the beams. Then, the tendon ducts and each corresponding cast iron guide plates in performing the pre-stressing of such precast. Here now is the takeoff list, then the computation. I have already discussed this previously, okay? Is there any question with regards to the measurement? Is it clear for you already? Okay, therefore,